there, productive people. Zeemzilla here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over how to manage your time. Now, the way that I plan on doing this is by showing you guys an effective tool that will help you stay on track. So, by using this tool, you will be able to organize your roles and set goals for each of those roles and prioritize action around those goals that you set for those roles. So, the tool that I'm about to show you, it's not too complicated. It's very easy to understand, and it's just up to you to take action and implement it. Now, if you make it through this video, you should come through like having a better grasp on how to manage your time, and hopefully you understand the importance of time management from watching this video. Now, without wasting any more of your time, let's get started. We'll actually be doing today's video on my computer screen, so I'll see you there. All right, guys, so here we are back in my computer, and yeah, let's get started with the time management tool. So first, we'll make ourselves 4 squares. Now these 4 squares will represent 4 different quadrants of activity and what that means for how we spend our time in each quadrant. So over here we have things that are important. Down here we have things that are not important. Up here we have things that are urgent. Over here we have things that are not urgent. So this tool talks about the 4 ways that people most spend their time. So quadrant 1 are things that are urgent and important. Quadrant 2 would be things that are important but not urgent. Quadrant 3 would be things that are not important and that are also urgent. And quadrant 4 would be things that are neither important nor urgent. So quadrant 1, this is your urgency quadrant. This is where like deadline driven projects go, any type of like crisis that occurs like suddenly, any pressing problem or thing that has a set time limit and that requires your attention belongs in quadrant 1. So this is all your like tests, due dates, homework assignment, time limit, whatever. So over here in quadrant 2, I call this one the leadership quadrant, because this is where your visioning occurs, this is where your planning and preparation occurs. So quadrant 2 is where you take preventative action so that things don't become urgent in the future. This is your proactivity quadrant. This is where you will be accomplishing most of your goals and achieving success. So I'm just going to put a check next to that one, quadrant 2. The next quadrant is quadrant 3. So this is the deception quadrant. This is where people think that they're doing things that are important, but they aren't. So some characteristics of the deception quadrant would be like interruptions, phone calls, pressing matters but really like not important. Activities that are done in quadrant 3, they don't really further your purpose or mission. They're not enhancing your being at all. They're just kind of things that like spring up on you that you kind of do. So like an example of a quadrant 3 activity, say if you were about to make a video and a friend called you up to like hit the bars and get some drinks. That's not really important, but it is urgent. So if you were to decide to go out with your friends, that's a quadrant 3 activity. So next, last but not least, we have quadrant 4, which is not urgent and not important. So this is quadrant 4 is the time waste quadrant. This is the quadrant where most people waste most of their time. I made a video about this called the time waste sins. All 6 of those sins fall within this quadrant. This is where people do their escape activities, such as watching excessive amounts of TV or excessive amounts of like Instagram, any type of social media. Quadrant 4 activities are activities that doesn't really satisfy or further your purpose or personal like goals. So yeah, guys, those are the 4 quadrants of like how people spend their time. Again, quadrant 2 is where you want to spend most of your time, because if you were to take preventative action in quadrant 2, it would prevent the other 3 quadrants from interfering with your daily life. So I'm just going to make this easier to see. You guys want to be spending most of your time, excuse me, it's got a text message. You guys want to be spending most of your time in the first 2 quadrants, because you want to be doing things that are important and not urgent. Now, you want to be doing things that are important because they further your goal. And when you're doing things that are important with no type of urgent, cause behind them, you can excel at them. So stay in the first 2 quadrants, stay away from the last 2 quadrants. Again, quadrant 3 and quadrant 4 are unproductive. If anything, guys, if there's anything that you take away from this video, try to spend as least time in quadrant 4 as possible. Quadrant 4 is where you not want to end up. You do not want to be doing things that are not urgent and not important. Stay away from quadrant 4. Quadrant 2 is your go-to zone. Stay in quadrant 2 and thrive in quadrant 2. This is where the most growth in your personal character comes out of, quadrant 2. So yeah, guys, just going over again why quadrant 2 activity is the most effective. So you want to do activities in quadrant 2 that prevent things from becoming urgent. So say you have a test that's coming up. If you study a little bit each day, then the night before you won't have to worry about that test becoming a quadrant 1 activity and becoming urgent. You can calmly relax for that test, knowing that you've prepared ahead of time. So when you spend most of your time in quadrant 2, it makes your life easier, because you're taking preventative action and you're preventing deadlines from even becoming a threat to your time. So yeah, with this tool, you'll want to write down your roles and your goals. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because you need to identify areas that you want to excel in. So once you write down your roles and your goals, you can prioritize your time and your activity, your daily activity, around these 2 things. So say you now know what you want to do. Your goal would be in the quadrant 2 section. Anything that's not relevant to your goal would be in the other 3 quadrants. Now, you can see how this can easily become a great template for success, because if you're only spending your time focusing on areas that you want to improve in, you will become a lot more effective and you will accomplish a lot more goals. So just to give you guys a little more clearer look on this tool, I have an image of it right here that I'm bringing up. So yeah, 1 is urgent and important. These are crisis, pressing problems. 2 is not urgent, but it is important. It's important because it's where you want to be spending most of your time. Visioning, planning, preparation, prevention. By prevention, we mean prevention of other things becoming like pressing matters in our lives. Quadrant 3 is urgent, not important. Quadrant 4 is not urgent, not important. Again, guys, you don't want anything to do with quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. Effective people such as yourself should not be wasting their time down here. Spend most of your time in quadrant 2 to minimize the effects of quadrant 1. Quadrant 1, you're always going to have things that are urgent, but the more time, the more that you prepare for those things, the less they become urgent. So spend most of your time in the first 2 quadrants. Avoid the last 2. But yeah, that's all for today's video, guys. Value from learning time management. Leave a like and subscribe. But yeah, that's all I got for you. I'm Zeemzilla, and I'm out. Peace.